Yes, finally, Simon Ekpa.
Fellow Biafrans, I want to inform you that today we have a very high-level meeting with developers that are already interested in building more than Dubai in Biafra land. December 2nd, we are going to have a very long way because I know Nigeria is not going to give up very easily. But one thing I promise them is that it doesn't matter how long it takes. If it takes us 10 years to fight Nigeria after December 2nd, we are ready. If it takes us 20 years to fight Nigeria after December 2nd, we are ready.
I speak as a professional, and secondly, I speak as a Nigerian, nothing more, nothing less. Professionally speaking, the Finnish authorities have done their due diligence and they have reasonable grounds to arrest Mr. Simon Ekpa. And in that arrest, they followed due diligence to now charge him based on the information we are getting. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do for clarifications. Look into the request by the Chief of Defense Staff to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. Professionally speaking, the chances are possible to extradite Simon Ekpa to Nigeria. However, in my opinion, it's almost impossible, though it's not 100% impossible, because one, there is no extradition treaty between Finland and Nigeria. Number two, the Finnish authorities have every right to take him to court to answer to the charges against him, and that is perfect, that is due diligence. And afterwards, don't forget the CJEU, the Criminal Justice of the European Union, also have a right under the European human rights to also test if he's suitable to be extradited to Nigeria based on one, the charges against him, and number two, the fundamentals, because he has to defend himself in a court of law. You cannot just bring charges without him answering in response to the reasons why he's inciting violence, to the fundamentals why he thinks there's a reason for him to request for self-determination for the people of Biafra. The Criminal Court of Justice of the European Union has to check if they believe in self-determination. They have to check if they believe in human rights abuses, because bringing that man to Nigeria is a great idea, but I'm not sure that the Chief of Defense Staff should go home and relax and sleep, because they have to consider the human rights records in Nigeria as a country. Obviously, we are all Nigerians. We know our human rights records. There is nothing to boast about. And in instances like people that have disappeared in Nigeria, off my head, Daddy Yatta is still being looked for. Nobody has seen him for years. The people that participated in the so-called NSAS protest, many of them, after the panel, no human rights justice for them. The people that were involved in the End Bad Governance protest, no human rights for them. Even last week, we saw the human abuse of a couple by an army general. Up to today, we are still hearing. Or about politicians who believe they can buy the justice system in Nigeria. Or politicians who believe they can buy vehicles, build houses for justices. So obviously, we have to understand that Simon Ekpa has to answer to his charges against him. I think that's due diligence to do, and I support that.
So on this note, I want to bring to the notice of all Biafrans that our Prime Minister is safe and sound, very healthy. Biafra will be restored from diaspora. Our leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has laid the structure by introducing His Excellency Simon Ekpa to be in charge of this ship where we are right now. And that ship is on course. Our leader Nnamdi Kanu, or you all should remember, he is with the Nigerian DSS today because of what we are doing. Our leader Nnamdi Kanu has said, instead of Biafra not to come, Nigeria will be burned to ashes. And I promise you today, instead of Biafra not to come, we, every single individual in Biafra government, in all the structures that our PM has laid down, we will burn Nigeria down. And any country, both international and in homeland, that tries to tamper, that tries to intervene, that tries to stop this restoration, that country will get the brunt of Biafra.
This is the highest form of hypocrisy. I'll tell you why. Right now, there are certain persons who have dedicated their time and efforts in collating name, address of, in quote, sponsors of Simon Ekpa's activism. They want to call it terrorism. I am calling it activism. Yes, activism. They are beginning to collect names of individuals in the United States of America where they believe more of a donation comes from. They took this from the words of Nnamdi Kanu at the beginning of Ipob formation and establishment. He left the United Kingdom, went down to the United States, and he said in front of the camera, recorded it, and it is out there in the public domain. He said, "You Americans, you have more money. I need money to push for this. I need money." And one woman stood up and said, "Look, I'm kind of worried about this. The way you are expressing this secession, please, I don't want the repetition of what happened. We lost a lot during the Civil War. We lost a lot. And not all our brothers and sisters were part of this war. Some stayed back in the Southwest. Some left Nigeria totally. They said they are not interested in the breakup of Nigeria. These drums of war, I am worried about it. And now you are saying we have the money. How do we have the money? Because we are in the United States. Is there some ATM machine or bank that drops money in our bank or in our account? Well, some of these people, they have jumped on this one and they started collecting names. In quote, they say names of sponsors of terrorism. Someone has to pay for the lives wasted and blood spilled in Igbo land. Destroying your lives here in the US is the least we can do. I'm telling you what is right now on social media. That is what is on social media. Certain people said they are taking time to make a comprehensive list, and that this list will be sent to the appropriate quarters. They are so happy that the Finnish government were the ones that arrested Simon Ekpa and not the Nigerian government. That if it were the Nigerian government, they would have made it appear as if, well, as you can see, Nigerian government is corrupt. They are anti-progress. They just want to keep people in slavery. But now that it is the government that gave Simon Ekpa citizenship, and they are the ones that that are probed, interrogated, they were the ones that observed and got their evidence, and also reached out to the Nigerian government saying, look, can you give us updates on certain evidence that we have found worrisome about Simon Ekpa? Of course, you know, the vice president had met with the president of Finland at the United Nations Summit, and also the present head of military. He also reached out via social media complaining about the lack of cooperation by the Finnish government. Well, as it is right now, I know a lot of people are worried a lot of people are worried. A lot of people are worried because they are not just looking at those in the United States. They are beginning to collect names of individuals all over the diaspora, particularly in countries that frown against terrorism. That's why they are starting with the United States, because they know, oh, in the United States, they don't like terrorism. Anything that has to do with terrorism, oh, they don't like it. So they said they are sending the names to the Department of State. Can you now understand the complexity? And I will tell you this for free. Igbos, yes, Igbos are among them. Yes, Igbos are among them. Those that are collating. If you take time to look into the history of the Civil War, you realize that there are certain Igbos. I'm not talking of just one ordinary, inconsequential. There are some Igbos that were not part of the Civil War. Some went in as a result of fear. Some went in with the hope and mindset of, yes, let us break Nigeria apart. After all, that country was never united. Well, fear not. Fear not. You see, when you allow a narrative to continue, Nigeria itself and the government of Nigeria is a terror or terrorist. Yes, they are. Because they are terrorizing the people. Economic terror. Emotional terror. Imagine what happened during the NSARS. Of course, we know that certain people wanted to hijack it to destroy and disrupt public utilities, destroy public amenities, thinking that they are destroying the government, but not knowing that the government does not use those facilities that you are destroying. Those facilities are built for you. They travel abroad. They have their houses there in countries where things work, and they just don't have it abroad in just some local trenches. They have houses bought in the most exclusive and expensive parts of those countries, because they have the money that they have looted to buy such properties, and they don't have one. And where they live in Nigeria is guarded. Electricity is constant because they have access to free money. So whatever it is that you are experiencing, it is you that is experiencing it. That is why there is a need for everyone to stay united on this one. We cannot allow lies. The narrative that, oh, Simon Ekpa is a terrorist. How is he a terrorist? If you have not experienced heaven, you will not know what hell feels like. But if you have experienced heaven, you will be like, wait, it's like this hell is not a place to be. But if you have been in hell and you have never had any inclination or idea that there is heaven, you'll be like, well, it seems this is what life is. So Simon Ekpa, having moved to a country where things work, he knew within himself, we can replicate the same thing. What does Finland have? Any natural resources? But my country, we have all the types of resources, even much more than the United Arab Emirates. If we are to divide, if we are to apportion it according to state and resources and what they have, we will be better off. Each state has a resource. Each state of Nigeria, even the north, they do. After all, they have sunshine. Can they get solar? They can get solar, power electricity from it, and even send to other parts of Nigeria where there is no that they don't have that amount of sunshine. They can come up with a lot of ideas, but they refused to do that. Every part of Nigeria has a resource. Every part of Nigeria, there is no part of Nigeria that is left with nothing. Even parts of Nigeria that you might think, oh, they don't have resources. Oil, gold is not the only resources. Diamond, bitumen, and all of that. That's not the only resources. What about tourism? Tourism. There are parts of Nigeria with good lake and rivers, and that can be. We are talking about people with resources but their mind is shallow. Their mind is wicked. Evil lives inside of them. Now, they're saying Simon Ekpa is a terrorist. How is he a terrorist? The Nigerian government has created a narrative. Maybe Simon Ekpa might have acted in a certain way because of the pressure. Oh, he talked about it at home. He had said certain things about people must RIP for emancipation, and his own family is there in Finland. He is not ready to put his own life on the line. They said all of these things. He might have made mistakes here and there. Even in Nnamdi Kanu too, there are certain things that he said in the past. And now that he's in the custody of the DSS, he has taken time to reflect on certain things. If you hear him speak at the court, you will realize that this man has reflected, but he knows the core of what he's fighting for. And he understands very well that these criminals, these vampires are unwilling. They are parasites. They are unwilling. They are like virus. They are unwilling. They are like germs. Like they are like bacteria. They are unwilling. Viruses don't just live. You have to rout them out. And you don't do that smiling. No. You have to be firm with them. You have to let them know enough is enough. Enough of slavery. How can we be sitting on trillions? In fact, I cannot quantify it, of resources, and we're having issues all over. We are not supposed to even have this problem of terrorism. Nigeria is supposed to be a country where other countries will be struggling to come to, and will be telling them, no, don't come in. Each state, each region, with resources to benefit from. Yet, here we have useless governments stealing. And I won't lie to you, it is not just some set of government or set of people. It is we as a people. Only few have the mindset of progress. Many people will speak and act in a way as if they are for progress. Let them get in there. They will steal, they will kill and destroy. What they are there for is to do the work of Lucifer.